Hey guys, GameBuff here. Now, since I was a kid, I was lucky enough to grow up when fighting games were king. I was young and impressionable enough to remember when Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat hit the scenes and how awesome those games were. Now, for how awesome those games were, a ton of other fighting games tried to capitalize on that success with varying, often pretty terrible results. Now, today, I'm not really here to talk about the good ones. I'm here to talk about the really bad ones. So today, this is going to be my top 7 worst 16-bit fighting games.
They call me loser because they love to spread hate. They call me stupid because I didn't graduate. I'm only what I need, certified GED. They call me alcoholic.
For every Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or Killer Instinct developed, at least 5 crappy knockoffs hit store shelves. Now, since most of these games came out either before or during the early days of the internet, most of us kids only had game magazines to try to get an idea if the game was any good. Usually, with the titles I'm sharing today, it was a $60 gamble, and you usually lost. I know a few of these games looked really cool in magazines and on the back of the box until I actually played them. Now, my list today only includes some of the games that I have and I've played, so some of your more obscure titles I haven't played, they might be missing. Number 7. Street Combat is a pretty terrible fighter that could be at least solid if they made a couple changes to a few things. Strike 1. You can only use one character in the one-player mode. I don't know who thought that was okay. Seriously, one character only. Second, you've got to press a button to jump rather than pressing up like any other reasonable one-on-one fighter out there. And Strike 3 is a combination of crappy controls, some dumb mini bonus games, and a paper-thin story. I don't really hate how this game looks though, and I think that it's redeemable. And as I played it for this review, it wasn't nearly as bad as I remembered, and honestly, it was a masterpiece compared to the top 4 on this list. I would never recommend this game for anyone to buy, but once again, compared to the ones you're about to see, it's not that bad. Sorry, haters. Number 6. Brutal Paws of Fury is a game that, as a kid, I desperately wanted. The ads looked really cool, and the graphics looked just completely awesome in the screenshots. Plus, it was a neat idea. It's a good thing though I didn't get this one brand new, because it sucks immensely. You type a name in, and the computer is always Dave Exile. Seriously, I have no idea what that's about. Dave Exile. The controls, they're just awful, and they're nearly as bad as Shaq Fu. Plus, you've got to learn your special moves as you go, and you only get the opportunity to learn a new one every couple fights. And then when you do, the first one is just simply a taunt. The foregrounds get in your way, the AI swings wildly from being able to beat by spamming a button to just completely impossible, and though it has a password system, it has the most ridiculously stupid password system that I've seen. It does look pretty good though, and I'm sure people were duped into buying it. This game is really disappointing though, and I feel like there's quite a bit of missed potential here. Number 5. Shaq Fu. This is one of the most infamous offenders when it comes to bad fighting games. This game sat on my shelf for the longest time, and I recently took it to school for my students to play. And they enjoyed it. Now, it has a completely ridiculous story and is saddled with other issues, but the single worst problem with this game is the controls along with obscene hit detection. Once you get a couple fights into the game, it becomes a problem that makes the game completely unplayable. I had a hard time placing this game on this list in the right order though, because I almost like it better than the previous two, but then the controls, ugh. There's not much though I can say about this game now that you haven't already heard or read yourself. But buckle up people, because this game is the freaking Legend of Zelda compared to the trash that's coming up. Oh yeah, buckle up. Number 4. Remember how cool Primal Rage looked in the arcades? Yeah, me too. Well, here's the SNES version, and I just can't stress to you enough how much of a piece of crap this game is. The graphics, lame. The controls, suck. And I feel like the SNES, it was capable of such a better game. Now this game, well, I guess one of the things that appealed to people was that it had fatalities, but I can't pull any of them off. Just look at the move list for this game. The moves are ridiculously hard to do. Now, when I did see the moves, all the fatalities, they were all completely dumb. What sucks is it's a cool idea, dinosaurs fighting for global domination. It just didn't pan out. I just don't even have much to say about this game. Only thing I got to say about this game is it simply sucks. Number 3. Number 3 is Rise of the Robots, and in this case I'm playing it on the SNES, though I hear the Genesis version is far worse. Now this game looked really cool when it was coming out. The graphics looked awesome. The idea of robots fighting was super neat. I wanted it real bad. I finally got it for like $10, and whoa boy did this game really, really suck. Now, it's got some cool things, like some of the FMV sequences are cool. The characters look pretty cool, but you're stuck only using one guy, and he sucks. The moves are ridiculous to pull off. You can spam, use the same button to win half the time, and then have opponents that completely own you. And one of the other worst parts, when you die, there's no continues. It just kicks you right back to the beginning of the game. Seriously. This game sucks on so many levels. I thought this was one of the worst games of all time until I played the next 2 coming up. But seriously, this game sucks incredibly. Play it for yourself and find out. Number 2.
Oi.
Listen to this music.
Oi. Oi.
Yeah, that's right. This is Balls 3D. In this game here, in this case I'm playing on a Super Nintendo. Oh man, this game is awful. I borrowed this game as a kid. Didn't know much about it, and within the 5 minutes of playing this game as a kid, I knew this game was just awful. Everything about this game is bottom of the barrel. The controls are terrible. The characters and graphics look completely stupid. Moving around is a chore. You gotta press a button to jump. This game has so many things going poorly for it that it's harder to find anything good about it. And as I'm doing this, I can't think of anything redeeming about this game. This game is just absolutely terrible. I would say it's the worst fighting game ever made, and I was sticking with that until I played the next game. But nonetheless, this is a game that there's just nothing redeemable. It is just everything that was terrible about the 90s all slammed into one package. And the number 1 worst fighting game? Pit Fighter. Alright, I've never played this game before now. Found out you could play it through, let's see, 3 characters here. Let's try Karate Man. Alright. Nothing's really working. Okay. Tapping buttons here. Okay, the graphics suck and the sound is just a joke. I'm not sure if I'm winning or losing here. I'm pretty sure I'm losing. I can't believe anybody thinks this game is cool. Okay, get up. What is happening here? Wait. Alright, let's try it again. Now, like I said, there's 3 fighters. There's no options menu. There's nothing to this game at all. And granted, this is a game that I always passed over in the arcade when I saw it. I didn't think it was that cool even then. Therefore, that's why I never played it at any other point. But holy crap, this game is terrible. This might be the worst game I've ever played. Just period, end of story. And I maybe I gotta play it some more. I do think there's a case for it being the worst game I've ever played. Seriously, this has got to be the worst game I've ever played. There's nothing redeemable about it. Everything is terrible about this game. Look, I mean, what in the world? This makes Shaq Fu look like something Picasso made. Now, when I was originally setting this whole thing up, I legitimately thought that Rise of the Robots was going to be at the top of the list. And that was until I remembered Balls 3D. Then when I remembered I had that piece of crap, I went, oh, I gotta sit down and play him. And then after playing him, starting to put my video together, putting a bunch of time into Shaq Fu, I ended up getting my hands on Pit Fighter, and then all bets were off. The whole entire list went out the window. I had games on there I ended up taking off. Some of my games I had done pieces about, they ended up being honorable mentions. And one thing I want to say about my honorable mentions is that Eternal Champions for the Genesis sucks. However, Eternal Champions for the Sega CD, which I have, is an actual considerable improvement, and it's one of those rare times where the Sega CD game is exceedingly better than the Genesis. Now, Shaq Fu compared to the games ahead of it on a list is like freaking Street Fighter compared to the rest of them. I always thought Shaq Fu sucked, and then playing these other ones again for the first time in years, it made me go, oh, it's not bad. I do feel for any poor sap who paid $60 straight up back when these games came out and got totally taken for a ride. Did I miss anything though? Is there any games, glaring omissions that I didn't put on there? Make sure you let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for more videos, and follow me on Twitter at the GameBuff, and we'll see you around next time.